You just got the receipt everyone's been waiting for. Andrew Tate didn't back down. He hit back. But here's the twist. It's a $50 million counterpunch aimed straight at his ex, Bri Stern. And the filing date is right there on the page, August 13th, 2025, with language that screams defamation and a legal war going public in real time. If you felt the timeline heating up on X today, you're not imagining it. Stan armies are firing off threads, hashtags are boiling, and the lawyers are already sharpening their statements. However, the first 10 seconds matter, so let me put a doc on the table. Newly filed court papers say he's chasing over $50 million for reputational damage. That's your first receipt and the fuse for everything that follows. Now, quick context before we go deeper. Bri Stern sued Andrew Tate back in March, saying he abused her during their relationship and assaulted her in a Beverly Hills hotel. She stood by that story, attached her name, and put it into a court file. Tate denied it, called it false, and now he's responding with a counterclaim big enough to break timelines and split audiences in half. Here's why this matters. One side says survivor, the other says liar. Careers get made or broken at this level not by whispers, but by receipts. And the receipts are piling up on both sides. Court filings, on-record attorney quotes, archived posts, and a trail of interviews that will either reinforce a pattern or expose a setup. Let's start with what the counterclaim says in plain English. Tate says Bri fabricated abuse to blow up her brand. He says she weaponized headlines and used his name to sell content, pump side projects, and ride the viral wave. He claims reputational damage, intentional emotional distress, invasion of privacy, abusive process, and misappropriation of his likeness. Yes, he listed them out, and the number is $50 million for payback. That number isn't random. It's headline math. If you want to grab attention and plant a flag, you go big enough to be unmissable and scary enough to make silence look like strategy. 50 million says, I'm not just fighting the accusation, I'm punishing it. It's a message to every future accuser and a rallying cry to every fan who thinks he's being hunted. Bri's side isn't blinking. She filed first. She alleged a pattern of violence and control over months, not a single bad night. She says the relationship went from romance to surveillance. She says she was choked, threatened, and treated like property. She's lawyered up with a firm that lives for high-profile brawls, and she has no plan to back off now that he's countered. Pause on the PR war for a second. The legal system runs on evidence, not vibes. That means phone records, hotel logs, medical assessments, hotel surveillance, text threads, and any witness with a pulse. If either side forged, omitted, or conveniently lost something, discovery is where the mask slips, and discovery in cases like this, it's not tidy, it's brutal. You can already feel the narrative splitting. Fans of Tate call this a takedown of a clout-chasing ex. Supporters of Bri call it a classic intimidation play. Use wealth, followers, and litigation to grind a woman down. The truth hates shortcuts, and both stories can't be right. Somewhere between the posts, the PR, and the filings, the actual timeline will surface, and the timeline matters. Bri's lawsuit landed in late March. Within days, her lawyer put out a statement, and interviews started rolling. It wasn't anonymous. She stood in front of cameras and used her full name. That makes this fight different from the classic whisper network. She took on the risk of going public, and she knows the blowback that comes with it. Tate, on the other hand, is a PR machine. He thrives in chaos, pulls views out of hate, and turns court dates into content. He won't let a headline breathe without stomping on it. So, when he files a $50 million counterclaim months later, the timing is strategic. Midsummer attention is peaking, his base is energized, and the internet is hungry for a new villain to praise or punish. Let's talk receipts you're going to see on screen. Expect the counterclaim caption with the filing date circled. Expect quoted lines that say defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Expect a prior interview from Bri explaining the alleged assault in her own voice. Expect a lawyer quote that reads like a flamethrower. These are the pieces viewers replay and send to friends. But under the flash, there's a system. Defamation is hard to win. You need to prove falsity and harm, and if you're a public figure, you need to prove actual malice. That's heavy. You can't just say this hurt my feelings. You have to show the other person knew it was false, or didn't care if it was. And if the underlying assault happened, that's game over for the defamation claim. So what's the defense to defamation? Truth. Fair reporting of allegations, statements of opinion, good faith reporting to law enforcement. If Bri's legal team can show her claims are true or that she reasonably believed them and spoke in proper channels, the defamation wall gets very tall very fast. Add medical documentation, timestamps, and contemporaneous texts, and the wall becomes steel. At the same time, let's not ignore the countersuit's playbook. When a celebrity claims reputational damage, they roll out brand deals lost, bookings canceled, followers churned, and platforms that pulled the plug. They bring charts, they bring display ads, they bring emails from sponsors with "we're pressing pause" in the subject line. If Tate has those receipts, they'll be blown up in court exhibits. Bri knew that. After filing, she didn't hide. She spoke, and she repeated the most painful parts calmly, almost clinically. That's a choice. Survivors go quiet or go loud. Both are valid. She went loud. She tied her identity to the accusation and looked into cameras that can be cruel. Whether you believe her or not, that takes a kind of courage that costs. Here's the mid-video snap. The counterclaim doesn't just say, "you lied," it suggests motive. It paints a picture of someone who saw profit, audience growth, and new opportunities by aligning with a wave of anti-Tate sentiment. It even hints she leveraged the story to drive attention to side ventures. If that's in the paperwork, expect screenshots, links, and timelines plotted to dollars. That accusation is designed for the internet era. In 2025, stories don't end at court. They migrate to profiles, platforms, paywalls, and shopping carts. If the claim is that she monetized the accusation, then the rebuttal will be that she sought justice and told the truth, and that any visibility is a byproduct of speaking out. The jury will see both mosaics. It'll be up to them which looks real. Meanwhile, Tate's broader legal weather system is still raging. He's fought cases across borders with headlines that never sleep. That background is either proof of persecution, if you're a fan, or evidence of a pattern if you're not. Context shapes credibility, and in this kind of case, jurors don't arrive blank. They arrive with priors built from years of loud, messy news. Let's walk through the night in question as the complaint describes it. Bri says it wasn't a misunderstanding. She says it was violent, sudden, and terrifying. She says she didn't consent to being choked and hit, and that the aftermath left her with symptoms that lasted. Tate says none of that happened, and that the story is a fabrication built to destroy him. That's the clash at the heart of it. If you're wondering what comes next, think depositions. Think subpoenas for hotel security footage and badge scans. Think metadata on photos. Think voice notes. Think third-party witnesses who saw them together before and after. Big civil cases don't move on vibes, they move on files. And those files don't care about your subscriber count. Here's where the hero-villain line gets drawn for many of you. A woman took her story to court under her own name, knowing this exact blowback would come. She's not hiding. She's insisting. On the other side, a powerful man filed a massive countersuit to call her a liar and to send a message. Which one looks like accountability to you, and which one looks like control? I know some of you will say, "Show me the proof." Fair. You should always demand receipts. That's why the first thing we showed you tonight was a filing date and a claim for $50 million. That's also why we're pulling prior interviews, medical references, and attorney quotes. You can screenshot those and argue them in the comments all night. But receipts aren't just paper, they're patterns. What was said then and what is said now. Who changes details? Who adds specifics under oath? Who doubles down in public but goes quiet in deposition? Patterns win cases. Patterns also win public opinion long before jurors swear in. Let me pull back the camera. This isn't just one celebrity scandal. It's the cost of naming harm in a culture that rewards attention more than truth. If you speak, you're accused of clout chasing. If you stay silent, you're accused of lying. If you sue, you're accused of cashing in. If you don't, you're accused of hiding. There's no path that avoids the knives. Now, how does a $50 million number land with a jury? It can backfire. Big asks can look like bullying, but they can also anchor the value of the harm and make a smaller number feel justified. It's negotiation psychology dressed as justice. Lawyers know it. Juries feel it. Headlines love it. But the audience is not a court. Millions on X will deliver hot takes long before a judge ever reads a brief. That rush can stain reputations faster than rulings can clean them. Expect clips to win the morning and filings to win the week. Could this settle? Maybe. Big countersuits often double as pressure tactics and opening bids. If private talks happen, look for sudden pauses in posting, a joint statement draft, or new language about moving forward that sounds like PR wrote it in a hurry. Listen to the lawyer quotes like you would a chess commentator. Words such as malice, slap, privileged reporting, and lack of falsity are signals. They map the next motions before they're filed, and they tell you exactly where each side thinks the weak joints are. Behind the scenes, platforms and brands are counting risk. Sentiment dashboards spike, sponsors freeze, and creators calculate which take will cost them fewer deals. If Tate claims lost income, those brand emails become exhibits. If Bri proves truth, those same emails become vindication. And please, watch out for fan edits. A hard cut, a dramatic swell, and a cropped screenshot can flip meaning. Full clips, not fragments. Full pages, not highlights. The internet is a magician. Don't let it palm the card while you cheer. So here's where we land tonight. Andrew Tate just escalated this fight with a $50 million counterclaim and a promise to make it hurt. Bri Stern is not backing down and will now have to answer that filing point by point while pushing her original suit forward. 2 cases, 1 set of facts, 1,000 microphones aimed at the same fire. We'll keep tracking filings because filings don't lie about dates and claims, even when people do. You'll see what's added, what's dropped, and what hard evidence lands in the docket. If the case narrows, that's a sign. If it widens, that's another sign. The map will draw itself, and you'll watch every line appear in real time. Until then, don't get played by the performance. Look for the plain, boring details, the kind lawyers love and influencers ignore. Who emailed who? What time a phone pinged? Why a witness changed phrasing from pushed to hit? Justice loves boring. The truth is usually practical before it's dramatic. Drop your take below, but back it with a reason. Tell me which receipt changed your mind. The hotel records, the lawyer's quote, the filing date, or the way the timelines line up across platforms? If you want a full doc pack, say docs, and we'll post what we can legally share. Final thought, if Bri is telling the truth, this countersuit is a scare tactic and it will collapse under discovery. If Tate is telling the truth, the countersuit is a megaphone that could clear his name and punish a lie. Either way, the facts will climb out of the pile of content. They always do, eventually. And when they do, remember this line. Villains aim to destroy heroes, but they almost always destroy themselves first. We'll watch that play out together, receipt by receipt, until the only story left standing is the one that survived the evidence.